Hi there Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video, and welcome to episode 52 of Ask Bossk's Bounty. This is of course the weekly series where you guys get to ask me questions in the comments section below, and I do my very best to answer them each week. And of course this series is now 52 weeks old. That's a whole calendar year, so it's a bit of an anniversary. So thank you very much for leaving your questions every week, and of course I do apologise if I don't get round to answering your question, but we do get a lot and it's great, but keep leaving them in and hopefully I will get round to them. Now, with all that being said, if you do happen to like this video, please leave a like down below with the old thumbs up button, and we'll get straight onto this. Horror Fan says, question for next week, what are your thoughts on the rumoured Vintage Collection Mandalorian build-up pack? So obviously this question was asked before Mando Mondays, and I just wanted to address this because obviously I did the review for this figure, which is right here, yesterday, and loads of people in the comments asked me where I got it from, and some people even didn't believe me when I said I got it from In Demand Toys in the UK. So In Demand Toys are a UK retailer. They put it up for pre-order straight after Mando Monday at 9 PM, and then amazingly on their Facebook they announced that they were getting it in stock on the Friday, so it arrived to me on the Saturday. I wasn't ahead of the queue or anything like that. I think quite a few people in the UK managed to pick this guy up on Saturday, which is awesome. And obviously if you haven't seen that review, I'm pretty sure you would have done by now because it's had a lot of views, which is great, so thank you very much. But if you haven't seen it, check it out because this is a top figure, and I really do believe that the vintage collection is back. The DS Studios says, hey Bossk, what do you think is the best 3.75 inch scale Anakin Skywalker to get? So I guess it depends on what sort of age range you want him to be, but the one I personally like isn't on a vintage card, and it really should have been compared to some of the other ones that we've got, and that's the Black Series 3.75 inch from Attack of the Clones. You get his damaged hand as well, his like metal hand to change out if you like, and I just think compared to say Peasant Anakin for example, which is the outfit he wears for like 2 minutes, maybe even less of that film, that's kind of the Anakin that we should have got, and it's not a bad head sculpt either, so I'd probably choose that one. Collector 1970 says, do you think Hasbro should re-release the retro Tarkin and Luke Hoth gear figures on non-Ravaged looking card backs so that collectors who have all of the original figures could add them to their collection? So it's an interesting point, my friend. So you're talking about this one here, and when you're talking about the Ravaged look, I'm guessing you mean all of this damaged effect around the edge. Now I've gone on record of saying that I really don't like that at all. You know, I think that's even possibly worse than the actual big sticker that we've got there. I see no point in that whatsoever. You know, I've got plenty of vintage cards, and I'm sure lots of other people have as well, that aren't all damaged at the edge. Not every vintage card is damaged. So I know they're trying to go for that retro look, but I don't think it's really necessary. Keep the cards looking nice. But will they re-release them? I very much doubt it, no. I Don't Like Sand says, question, do you think there'll be a new Star Wars trilogy that continues Episode 9 in the future? To be honest, I have no idea what they're going to do. I personally, if I was going to guess, I'd say no. I doubt it. I think that ship sailed. What I do think they probably might do is use some of the main characters for spin-off shows for Disney Plus, which is where it seems to be at the moment. So I could see like an animated show of Finn. I think that might have been rumoured, for example. I think that's the route they'll go with the sequel trilogy characters. Andrew Smith says, how do you think Hasbro have handled the unlocks for the Razor Crest? If I'm honest, I don't think they've handled them that brilliantly, in my opinion. I think obviously some of the unlocks could have been included in the Razor Crest in the first place. Two of them are really the ones that I'm really interested in, and that's the two carded figures, the Child, and hopefully if we can unlock the off-world Jawa, that'll be awesome. But there's always a strategy that these companies go through. They've got marketing people on the case, you know, and in terms of like leaving the unlocks blank for a couple of days and everyone's like, well, we've hit the 13,000, what are the new unlocks? I think that's all part of the strategy. It's kind of trying to make you sort of wait essentially and build up that sort of anticipation inside of you. If they were to just give it you on a plate straight away, yep, you've hit your unlock, this is the next one, I don't know, there's not enough time to like stew over it or whatever. So, you know, these marketing decisions are done for a reason, but who am I to judge? Jason Thornton Sawnby says, do you think the 2021 Retro Collection wave will be a Rogue One wave, Hasbro keeping Return of the Jedi wave for 2023? Do you know what? That's not actually a bad shout, because they did say that the Rogue One will be 5 years old and they're going to give it some attention. Maybe they mean that they're going to be giving it attention in the retro collection like they have done with the Mandalorian. So maybe both waves are new modern figures or modern characters. I'd never actually thought of that before, so that's a good shout. I think that's a good call, actually. I'd be interested to see if that happens, to be honest. Morgan Pogue says, "Hi boss, great videos. Question, which clone Captain Commander deserves a new and more detailed figure?" One sticks out for me is Captain Rex. We're getting that figure in the next wave, and they've repacked the Black Series 1, and it's a very poor decision in my opinion. The card back image there has got a picture of Rex with the helmet on, which essentially means they don't have to give you a new Rex with the helmet off. Really disappointing. And if I look at all the other clone commanders and captains that we've already got in the vintage collection, you know, all of those are pretty decent. I don't think much needs to be done with those, but certainly Captain Rex, to fit in with all the other figures, he needed to be redone, really. Ryan Gehring says, "Do you think we can expect the recent vintage collection release momentum to continue?" I really do hope so, my friend. I don't know whether it's because of the Mandalorian being out, the figures that we've got recently, you know, the Moff Gideon looking incredible when that comes out, this figure being absolutely incredible. I don't know whether I'm just on the wave of being like super buzzing about it all, but it seems to me like the vintage collection has sort of turned the corner maybe, and the future's bright and we're going to be getting some really cool stuff. That's what it feels like to me anyway. Let me know in the comments below if you think that's the case, and you know, great job with all the community and everything pulling together and showing Hasbro that 3.75 inch vintage collection collectors are here, and there's loads of us, and you know, potentially we could get 17,000 of us back in the Razor Crest. That's a big statement right there. Paul Rudd says, "Hey boss, great channel, awesome content." Thank you, Paul. "I now have 6 different Luke Skywalkers in the vintage collection. Which one is your favourite?" "Mine is Crest. Stay well, bud." Yeah, we do get a lot of Luke Skywalkers, don't we? There's 3 for me that I find very difficult to choose between which ones I like, so, or feel is the best one, and I like them for different reasons. So purely from a childhood perspective, one of my favourite figures when I was a kid was the Luke Skywalker in Stormtrooper outfit. So for them to do a, you know, ultra modern updated version of this guy looks incredible. He's one of my favourites. Of course, we've spoken about this guy loads of times on this channel. He's definitely one of my favourite. Again, one of my favourite figures from when I was a kid, the Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight. It was really good. And the cape, you know, really just harks back to that figure. It's very, very similar indeed, the way it drapes over his head and his shoulders and everything. But then from a purely card back perspective, this is one of my favourites. And in actual fact, this is one of my favourites in the whole entire vintage collection line. I think, you know, this wasn't part of the original 96 that was released back in the day. So for them to pick that image there, and it's a pretty awesome figure as well. This one, overall, decent helmet. Overall, this one's really good. So it'd be very difficult for me to pick between those 3. And as I say, I like them for different reasons. Michael Larson says, "Will you do a review on the Razor Crest?" And to be honest, Michael, there's probably only one way I can answer that question, and that's, you know, do bears poop in the woods? 100% I'll be doing a review of the Razor Crest. That's probably the most anticipated thing for me for the next year. I cannot wait for that thing to arrive. And yeah, I'll be giving it a proper detailed review, 100%. Just a bit of a break from the questions. I did just want to show you this that I managed to pick up this week. This is like my first graded figure, like loose figure. I've got a few other graded items, carded figures and stuff, but this is my first ever loose graded figure. And I actually bought this off the Dark Side Alliance Facebook group. 2 guys, Gaz and Terry, run that page, and it's a really awesome page. And this guy is a UKG graded Bossk 1980 Hong Kong, and the figure got 85 and the paint got 85, so he's an overall 85. So he's a near mint figure. I will be on the lookout for a 90 gold eventually, but this one will do very nicely for the time being. And yeah, I just wanted to show you that because obviously their page is awesome, and I thought I got a really good price for this. I think I paid £59 plus shipping. So, you know, you could probably pick up a loose Bossk, a decent one, for like 20 maybe. But to get one graded at an 85, I think that's a decent price. So I thought I'd just show you that's part of my Bossk collection that I focus on. Darth Cerebrus says, would you like to see actual play sets with actual play features return and not the overpriced diorama sets they are putting out now? Well, this is a difficult one for me. If I was, if I was a 7-year-old kid like my son, then I'd want loads and loads of play features. I'm an adult collector. I'm not really going to be sitting there like playing with the toys. I do understand that a playset should have, at least a few little play features like the Jabba's Palace with the, thing that moves the carbonite block up and down. I suppose that's a play feature. My son certainly uses that anyway. But when we're talking about the Tantive 4 diorama, I quite like that the way it is with just maybe a sliding door. I think that'll look pretty cool just setting it up as a diorama and having it on your collector's shelf or whatever. I think that'll look pretty cool. I don't need that to have play features particularly. And in terms of being overpriced, I think you'll be surprised with, inflation and things like that, how much toys are in relation to what they were originally. I think it is actually pretty similar. I mean, obviously some of them are a lot more, but when you compare things with inflation, there isn't that much difference. And if you look at that new one that's been revealed by that company that's got the license for the 6-inch version of the Tantive 4 hallway, I think that's really expensive. I'll have to double check of how much it is, but it's a lot more expensive than the 3.75-inch one, for example. Toe Cutter says, I'm glad they're doing a Mandalorian retro set. Maybe they'll start giving us special action figure sets in retro style as well. Yeah, that's a pretty cool idea. My question is, do you see the Vintage Collection line of figures being worth more than the original line of Star Wars figures in the next 10 to 15 years? Short answer of that is no. I do know that the Vintage Collection figures are, going up in value, and there's certain figures in the line which are rarer than others and are more expensive than others. But if you're going by a figure comparison, figure to figure, then I don't really think so. There is going to be the odd case where, for example, just picking one of random Weequay, for example, I think the Weequay in the Vintage Collection is getting a bit pricey, and it's nearly as expensive as getting a vintage one, There's not a lot of difference in it, but I think in 10 to 15 years time the vintage line would have gone up in price, and so would the Vintage Collection, so I think it'll always be behind it. Fantasy Bricks says, great video as always, Tim. Question for next week: if you could have one original Kenner figure and playset, which one would you have? And this is not including the rarer figures like Yak Face, Blue Snaggletooth and Rocket Firing Boba Fett. So the one that I'm after at the moment is a Farm Boy Luke Skywalker. So the normal original Luke Skywalker from A New Hope. I need that figure. I want a really mint example of that one with the lightsaber all in nice condition and everything. I need him for my first 12 stand. So that's definitely one I'm on the lookout for. It could potentially be £70-80 essentially. So yeah, in terms of a playset, I would love the Palatoy Cantina. That's something that I would like. I used to have it as a kid, and unfortunately with a lot of my Star Wars stuff I never kept it. It got sold. So I'd like to get that, to revisit that and, have that on display. Owen Brown says, great episode as always, Tim. Question for next week: when do you think you'll run out of space for your collection, and what will you do? If you need to sell some of your collection, how will you decide what will go and what will stay? Thanks for the great content. Thanks for the question, Owen. Yeah, I think I'm already at that point, to be honest, my friend. I have to rotate things. I can't have all of my Vintage Collection figures on the wall, so I've kind of decided maybe some of the ones that I'm not too keen on, some of the ones from the Phantom Menace, they are now in a box and they're going to have to go in the loft until I get a bigger collection room, and that's the aim really, get a bigger collection room and then I can have it all on display. Some items I have to sort of rotate around depending on what I want to display at the time, but I don't think I'll ever really sell anything that I absolutely 100% want to keep. I'm collecting this stuff because I want to build my collection essentially. So yeah, I'm not looking to sell anything. Gary Moore says, always great content and I look forward to hearing you answer all of the great questions. Thank you, Gary. My question is there a good way to flatten those twisted and warped card backs? I've tried heavy books to no avail. Many of the figures, especially those in older sets, have card backs that are not flat. Yeah, so this is a bit of a problem. Once a card back is warped, I mean, as long as it hasn't got a crease down it, you will be able to flatten it. The heavy books thing, they've got to be really, really heavy books, big encyclopedias, and you've probably got to keep them flattened for maybe a month. And then when you take them out, you may find that you've managed to get rid of some of that warped card. Star cases also tend to be a good way of flattening cards out, although I have experienced, even with star cases, that the card starts to turn at the bottom, starts to curve. So I think really your best bet is really, really heavy books. I can't really advise any other way of doing it, I'm afraid. John Ratcliffe says, "Hi Bossk, great video as always." Thank you, John. After seeing your G.I. Joe pickups, are there any other modern toy lines that you collect, or would you like to collect if you had the money, space, such as Transformers, Ghostbusters, He-Man, Turtles, etc.? Also, what did you used to collect as a kid, and would you like to see more re-releases of classics like Mask and Thundercats? So I don't really collect any other modern lines apart from Star Wars, really. I mean, I know I've been picking up those G.I. Joes. I do pick up the odd reaction figures. I do like some of those. They look pretty cool. I've got a few of those. But if I was going to collect Transformers, for example, I would be actively trying to get all of the ones that I had as a kid. So all of the G1 Transformers. The new ones really don't interest me that much. I think they're of poorer quality. The ones I used to have as a kid, Transformers, used to be made out of metal and they used to hold together well, and the new ones just look a bit plastic to me, so they don't really interest me. Something like Mask was a little bit late for me when I was growing up as a kid. I had a couple of them, and I honestly do think they're awesome toys. They were made by Kenner, and that always helps. And again, if they made retro Mask things, then yeah, I probably would pick them up, I have to admit. Alright then guys, that's it for this week, episode 52. Don't forget to leave your questions in the comment section below for next week's episode. We've got Mando Monday tomorrow as well for lots more reveals, hopefully. So let's hope for some more vintage collection figures. Thank you very much for watching as usual. Drop a like down below if you've enjoyed this video, and we shall see you on the next one.